Welcome and welcome back. We are continuing with our series on Tarot Message by Human Design Profile. So if you're here, you are a martyr role model or 3/6 profile, or you have no clue and you're just curious. If you don't know, there's a link in the description below to get your Human Design Profile. You'll need the same information that you need for your birth chart, so birthday, time, and location. Human Design is a bit more sensitive with the time because there are certain aspects that can change in your chart depending on the time. It may or may not also. So if you don't know the exact time that you were born, maybe you have an intuition, or maybe you were told that you were born during a certain time frame or like time of day, and you can use a time that would correlate to that. You can also play around with it. Like I said, like it may or may not change. For me, it didn't matter what time I was born. On the day that I was born, I was going to be a manifesting generator 5/1 profile. But I have seen others that, depending on the time, it changes their type and or their profile. So you can play around with that. Once you get all the information plugged in, you'll get something that looks like this. Your body graph, which is unique to you, obviously won't have all the notes on it, but you'll see your type, your definition, strategy, your profile, inner authority, not self theme, and your incarnation cross. For the purposes of these videos, we're going to be using your profile. You will hear a lot about your strategy and authority. So definitely something that you would want to look into if you haven't already, because that really kind of helps you navigate experiences, like what experiences to get into, what experiences maybe not to get into, and so on. There's a lot of great information out there on each of the types. And like I said, for the purposes of these videos, we're going on your profile. And the reason for that is because when I first started diving into the world of human design, reading about my profile is like, it was the first time I had ever felt seen and validated in my experience. And that was the thing that I was like, I'm hooked. So that's why we are going with the profile. And I think one of the beautiful things about human design too is how everything kind of works in tandem with the other. So, your strategy and authority helps you understand how to enter into experiences, while your profile helps you navigate how you interact with people in those experiences. So it's really kind of interesting. And the last two videos that we've done, I read the background and I read the personal out of the definitive book of human design. And today we're going to finish up here with the interpersonal. And then of course we'll get into the tarot message. So it says relationships that do not work out, especially early on, can be very painful for the 3/6 profile and may keep them from forming intimate bonds for many years. Knowing how to make correct decisions early in life will help make them ready for the world. Martyr role models have a deep capacity to sustain themselves and not give up, eventually leading them to objectivity. They find that the bad experiences are really the most important ones that they have had. Society conditions us to believe that mistakes are wrong. If third lines are not encouraged and educated about their process, the bad mistakes pile up and they feel beaten down, develop an inferiority complex, and carry a great weight of pessimism and shame. They may give up and walk away rather than use the experience as guidance. Third lines are, after all, the ones with the greatest ability to uncover the truth by discovering what does not work. Some of the most important discoveries in our world have come through trial and error, To be a third line is to be fully engaged in the wonder of life. Martyr role models are both anarchists and administrators who can happily recommend a cause, even if they would rather not even if they would rather not be personally involved. If sixth lines understand the tripartite, tripartite. Did I struggle with that word before? I feel like I did. Tripartite life process and live it authentically through their own authority. A penetrating, optimistic perspective will emerge in later years in the form of experiential wisdom. They will step forward as a role model, guided by their discoveries, and show us the perfection possible in the nine-centered life with its flowering potential and truths after the age of 50. This is a new pattern of maturation, words, excuse me, that is being modeled, and an unfolding process which cannot and should not be rushed. My apologies. I hope that made sense. So yeah, I halfway feel, you know what, I'm going to read this. I have to. I'm like, let me read this again because I feel like I butchered the entire paragraph. So, martyr role models are both anarchists and administrators who happily recommend a cause, even if they would rather not personally be involved. If six lines understand the tripartite life process and live it authentically through their own authority, a penetrating, optimistic perspective will emerge in later years in the form of experiential wisdom. They will step forward as a role model, guided by their discoveries, and show us the perfection possible in the nine-centered life with its flowering of potential and truths after the age of 50. This is a new pattern of maturation that is being modeled, an unfolding process which cannot and should not be rushed. I don't know if I did any better on the second run, but I apologize. So, does that sound like you? I always ask, and I very rarely, like, nobody really ever answers the question, which is totally fine. It's interesting, though, like, just that reminder. Well, and even really, there's two things. The reminder that, of course, you know, that trial and error period, that third line martyr trial and error, like, you have to do it. And then you have to figure out all of the ways that it's not going to work. And that's the process. But of course, if you see it as all of these different failures and mistakes, then, you know, like it was saying, that's where that pessimism thing comes into play. But it's also like, you know, understanding, the second thing is understanding that you do have that 3-tiered life, tripartite, which is the word that I'm probably not pronouncing right at all. But, you know, that the first 30 years and how that is going to likely be, for lack of a better term, a bit of a shit show. Because for the first 30 years, you are a martyr. So you have 2 third lines, tons of trial and error. And it's like you have to try all of the things. And maybe you don't, you know, quite understand why, but it's like, you know, it's just an inherent nature. And then the second half, which is like, you know, 28 to 30 to the age of 50, where you're quote unquote on the roof. But again, you know, even with that third line, like you're not necessarily up on the roof full time. And by on the roof, it just means like you're almost kind of, you've pulled back a little bit and you've taken on a stance of observation instead of being involved. But with that third line, like you have to be involved, right? Like you have to have something stimulating or you get bored. So you're, you know, like from 28, 30 to 50, it's like you're going up and down that ladder. You're going up on the roof for a time and then you're like, ooh, that looks interesting. That's shiny. Let me try that out. You know, so you come back off of the roof. Still trying, still trial and erroring. So then, you know, after the age of 50, like it said, you get to this point where you have all of this experience, right? All of this knowledge. You've experimented, you've tried things, things haven't worked, things have worked, but more so, you know what does not actually work. And that's when you start kind of blossoming into that role model of, hey, man, you know, I've already tried it. I have tried every which way that this thing can go. And let me tell you what does not work. But more so, I know what does work. Okay. We're just getting these good and shuffled, of course. We're going to do a 6-card spread. 2 rows of 3. We're looking for a message for our, this Justice card. I have seen it, it has either come out or I've seen it at least 4 or 5 times since shuffling for you guys alone. So I'm curious to see if it'll actually come out. But we're looking for a message for our 3-6. Okay. Martyr role models. A couple more here. There it goes. Okay. This one actually fell on the ground. 4 of Wands, the King of Wands, Page of Wands. The Lovers, Ace of Pentacles, 10 of Swords. We have the Sun at the bottom of the deck, which is beautiful. The Empress. No Justice card, though. I love how the majority of these cards kind of, like these 4 have a lot of the same tones. This, you know, like the yellow E. What is that? Is that solar plexus? Creativity. In the realm of human design, the solar plexus is called the emotional solar plexus. Talks about an emotional wave. Like, you know, I have emotional solar plexus as my authority. So that talks about understanding that there's no truth in the now, and that, you know, decisions shouldn't be made, if at all possible, should not be made immediately, because you kind of need to go through the emotional wave. You need to be on the high, you need to be on the low, and you basically need to come to kind of a neutral stance before making a decision. So you don't want to make a decision or communicate when you're on a high wave, and you don't want to make a decision or communicate when you're on a low wave. And then it's interesting because these two cards here have that red energy of the root center. And then of course the sun kind of encompasses all of those, all of the colors of the chakra system are on the sun card. So it's interesting. That was just kind of like one of the first things that I just kind of noticed here. So we'll go through each card, of course, and talk about everything as we do. So we start with the Four of Wands. It's also interesting too how all of these cards appear are wands. Wands have to do with action and communication. I see them as being the cards of information also, whether you're giving or receiving information. So the Four of Wands talks about stability and foundation. This appears to be a bit of a celebration also, but it's like reaching this point of satisfaction. It talks about the four pillars there. And again, how it makes a stable foundation in order for this tent to go up. And I love, like there is this celebration going on here, and there are two people in this card, and we have it, we have the Lovers card underneath that, which again also has two people in it. So this would be, reaching a level, like a sturdy foundation, either, with your family, with your partner, with your friendships, with your business. And this would be based on, the actions that you have taken. But this is also understanding that it's a good resting point. And of course, you should celebrate your success. But also, what comes after the Four of Wands is the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands is like when, like needing to kind of put in the work. It could even be, sometimes it's a card of marriage also, unity, union. There's also a disciplinary energy that comes in with this, like having the discipline to get to this stage. And then we have the Lovers. And of course, the Lovers can be literal lovers. I mean, it could be twin flame, it could be soulmate, whatever it is that you connect to as far as energies go. But deeper than that, the Lovers talk about, there's a lot of, decision making that goes in to the Lovers card. There's this balance going on between the masculine and feminine energies. It doesn't have to be a gender. I know that, of course, on here, it looks like there's a male presenting and a female presenting. But it's like the energies of, the feminine flow, receiving, intuition, and the male or the masculine initiating, giving, right? Like that physical labor, But there's also this, there's this trust that's happening here. This is also a card of Gemini. There could be a Gemini in your existence, doesn't have to be. But, like you can just kind of see the energies of the feminine where eyes are closed. almost like this yearning thing, I mean, just her posture where, she's kind of like her face is going forward towards the masculine here, and how he's almost kind of holding her up. And then there's all of this energy swirling around them. So this could be a partnership, whether that's romantic or platonic. This could be an energy that you are encompassing, like really embodying and balance with both of those energies. Like allowing yourself to listen to your intuition and then act on that intuition. But, I mean, since we are talking about the world of human design, it would be, honoring that strategy and authority. And allowing that to be the thing that guides you to this newfound stability. But also, these wands, like I said, like it's information, right? So information includes anything that's knowledge, wisdom, experiences, because that's how you gain the knowledge of a thing, right? Is by actually doing something. So it's also, kind of interesting how all of these cards are the wands cards, and we're talking about you third lines and how your experiences and that knowledge that you gain is going to lead you to this role model as you age and mature. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like after the age of 50, from what I understand. It honestly really kind of depends on, I mean, granted, it's not something that will probably happen when you're like 30 either. But it's like, if you allow yourself to kind of flow through the process, and understand that, your trial and error is the process of bringing you to this point of being a role model. And I keep pointing to the King of Wands because, the King of Wands is the highest expression of the suit. He would be the role model. He, she, or they would be the role model, right? We have this lion back here. There could be a Leo in your realm. Also with the red shirt, the root center in the realm of human design, the root center is a pressure center. So, it's like feeling that pressure to move, to do something, right? But it always goes back to your strategy and authority. Like if you know what you want to act on, what is your strategy and authority telling you to do? How is your strategy and authority telling you to act on the thing? Right? Like we shouldn't be doing something out of pressure. But that can be hard sometimes, right? Like it's hard to sit in that energy and be grounded like the root center wants to be when there's also this pressure behind it to do something. But I also love how, it is encompassing kind of both of the energies. Like we move on from this red action to these yellows. And it's almost kind of like they're swirling together for me. But like I said, the King of Wands is the highest expression of the suit, right? So again, there's this level of discipline that goes with the King of Wands because they're not going to be impulsive. That's the Page of Wands. They're going to be, like strategic. The King of Wands is also seen as being like an entrepreneur. With the wands, it also comes this level of creativity and passion. So you could be reaching a new level. Like if you have launched a business, if you're thinking about it, it doesn't necessarily have to be entrepreneur, but I'm just pointing that out here. Then this would be saying like, you would be reaching a new level of leadership here. Because that's what the kings do, right? They lead their kingdom. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles. Pentacles having to do with our money, our time, our physical body. It's the tangible things. It's the 3D world when we talk about pentacles. And this is, kind of the seed, right? Because we have these roots coming down. And the Ace of Pentacles talks about new opportunities. It could be a gift, like a monetary gift. It could be a new job. I wish I could show you my dog right now. He's being so perfect. And I just want to go squeeze him. So, being in this energy, it could be opening new doors for you. There could even be a raise or some sort of funding that kind of maybe even comes out of nowhere. It could even be making a decision to, start like a side hustle or do something for passive income. And maybe it's something that you have been thinking about doing for some time. And maybe you are waiting to get to a place where you felt a bit more stable and secure, and maybe, waiting until you had a little bit of free time. Or it could be that you were really kind of enjoying yourself. Like maybe you just kind of put it on the back burner because you're like, you know what, I know this is going to take up a lot of my time. So I'm going to live my best life right now. And the Lover's card would be saying that, the time is now, or it's coming up, where it's time to settle down and get into this energy of the King of Wands and start this new business venture. I mean, like again, with the King of Wands being that entrepreneur type energy, like this could be actually branching out on your own. And then we have the Page of Wands. And like I said, the Page of Wands is impulsive, playful, a bit carefree, this kind of free spirit energy. And I always see the Page of Wands as a reminder to insert play. Like remember to have fun, whatever it is that you're doing. Because again, right, I mean, the process is part of the purpose. So, like instead of seeing it as a burden, because, we have the Ten of Swords here, and the Ten of Swords generally talks about like overthinking. But it's also, the tens are a completion. So it's, you have thought about every which way that, something could possibly go. This could even be that you have tried everything that there is to try. Or even just getting back into the energy of discovery. But not letting it bring you down, not getting stuck in that pessimistic type energy if that's present, or even if it shows up. But after the Ten of Swords, we go back to the Ace of Swords. So, this is a completion. So it's kind of like, being done with the overthinking, overanalyzing, pessimism stuff, right? And I also love how it kind of looks like she's walking towards the sun. And the sun is like everything good. It's every good feeling you could ever think of. And that's the sun card. The sun also talks about rejuvenation. It's literally life force energy, right? And we have the Empress behind there. And the Empress talks about abundance. An abundance of abundance. Nurturing. Like this seed is being planted here by this King of Wands. And now, like again, insert the play, like allow the process to be fun as much as you can. And also, I love how this figure is looking, this is like kind of future forecasting to me, like looking towards where you're going, looking forward, not back, right? All of these birds are flying away too. So it's like all of the distractions are going to be gone. Or it's a message about not being distracted. Beautiful. Oh my God. Yeah, there's the Five of Wands too. Like I was just talking about the Five of Wands over here. Like putting in the work, training, figuring it out, right? And you will. I love it. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for allowing me to read your cards. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.